Hi, my name is Neha. I am a UX writer and I work at a robo-taxi startup under Rimac called Vern, and I've been in Croatia for a year now. In my free time, I often volunteer at the Mama Institute to give lectures on Indian arts and culture. Because in India I used to work as an editor, writer, researcher on various topics on Indian arts and culture, and I also used to do workshops, exhibitions about the same. So I like spreading knowledge and basically feeling like a cultural ambassador because I can give a bit of an academic perspective on India from the lens of arts and culture. So while I think a lot of the standard of living is the same, barring that the public transport in Croatia is in some ways better. In India, the thing is that the service industry is quite developed because we have a large population. So there is a large class of people who work in the service industry. So it is quite easy to, even if you're not earning very much, to have someone come home and maybe cook or clean or do the laundry and things like that. So services are not as expensive as over here. So while the standard of living might be the same, the access to services tends to be different. So while most of my professional work in India has been as a ghostwriter of books, I have also written a book under my own name, which I'm still trying to get published, called The Enchanting Adventures of Skeleton Girl, which is a children's fantasy book in rhyme. So it's basically a long poem, and it's about a girl who is also a skeleton who goes on this fantastic adventure to find her true self, and she travels through an enchanted forest to do that. So that's something that I'm looking forward to, seeing in bookstores around us soon. I'm only speaking from my experience in Croatia because I don't know more than my experience right now what the position of women is. But in general, when it comes from at least a safety angle, things in Croatia are 100% better, I would say, for women, because in India there is no freedom of space for women. There's very little freedom of thought. There's very little freedom of to be an individual as a woman, because in India mostly it is very patriarchal, and it can be very difficult for you as a woman to do anything really. So in Croatia, one of the main things that I find really amazing and is a really good, it's a very positive thing about my experience here, is how women can take up space and they can move and they can travel. And for example, for me, I travel quite a bit to get to work every day and back. And this aspect of safety, where I can get on public transport and just go and not worry about my personal safety. So in India, unfortunately, even personal safety for women is such a big deal, that coming here and just being able to do a simple thing like getting on a bus or getting on a tram and going to work and coming back and feeling completely safe doing that, where in India I have to think 1,000 times before I do something like that, even in the safest of cities and even in the safest of states. So that is something that immediately stood out to me, and the fact that there is a lot of you can go out at night, if it's dark you can go out, these sorts of freedoms that in India are not available. So my adopted home in India is a state called Goa, which is a state of beautiful nature and beaches, just like Croatia is famous for. So in Goa there's a concept of susegad, which is, while it's not the same thing, it's quite similar to the Croatian concept of fiaca. So that is something that I found interesting. In Goa, susegad means enjoying every moment of life and living in a very relaxed and slow manner. So while it's not exactly the same as fiaca, it was interesting to come here and find that concept exist here as well. I miss the spices, and yeah, I miss a lot of the food. Though I love a lot of the sausages, and I love a lot of the kulen and things like that in Croatia. And the ingredients are amazing, but I do miss the spices and the food in India. So what I did was I started picking up Croatian ingredients. For example, I eat a lot of chavapi. So I buy the meat myself and then I cook it in Indian spices. So I do a bit of fusion, and that's how I'm dealing with it. Don't hate me for this, but I really liked Rijeka because it was the first beach town that I saw in Croatia, and I fell in love with it. I found the ocean amazing, and I found the vibe really nice, and I like ships, so why not? Dobar dan, ja sam Neha I drago mi je